We have a responsibility to ensure the conflict does not escalate and spread beyond Ukraine. That would be even more dangerous, destructive, and even more deadly.
What the US and NATO allies are trying to say is it is against the global rules for Russia to invade another country. It's immoral, it's unethical, it's deadly, it's horrific. And without wanting to put their own troops into Ukraine for the moment, the best way that they're responding is by providing all kinds of military and humanitarian assistance to Ukraine. This has really been a US and NATO assistance mission to help Ukraine as much as possible, because without that assistance, it's very likely that Russia would have had a lot more success than it's had in the early days of its invasion. I'm Alex Ward. I'm a national security reporter here at Politico, and we're going to talk about NATO's role in bolstering Ukraine's defenses after Russia's invasion.
There is no doubt that the United States and every NATO ally will meet our Article 5 commitments.
The bedrock principle of NATO is what's known as Article 5. Attack on one is an attack on all. That a strong alliance that the US very much dominates would all come to each other's help if they were attacked. The only time Article 5 has actually been invoked, though, was to protect the United States after the 9/11 terrorist attacks. An important thing here, Ukraine is not in NATO, not at all. Ukraine has been unable to get into NATO for multiple reasons, one of which is everyone in the West knows it would severely anger Russia.
The alliance is afraid of controversial things and confrontation with Russia. I never wanted to be a country which is begging something on its knees. And we're not going to be that country, and I don't want to be that president.
Ukraine's government has been rife with corruption and a bunch of other major issues until very recently. And Ukraine's military, while very good, still needs to professionalize a bit more. The three Baltic countries, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, are former Soviet republics, part of the Soviet Union that Putin has once said, the decline of which is the greatest catastrophe of the 20th century. So does he have designs to do what he's doing in Ukraine in Baltic countries? It's unclear. The US and NATO allies have been putting extra troops in those countries and extra equipment, mostly as part of a deterrence and reassurance mission.
Russian warplanes struck a military facility which the United States and NATO forces had used to train Ukrainian troops.
It's 20 miles northwest of Lviv. That is 12 miles from Ukraine's border with the NATO ally Poland.
As of this moment, NATO has been extremely clear. They are not going to get militarily involved in Ukraine.
To provide fighter aircraft could be misconstrued by Mr. Putin as an escalatory measure and could spin the conflict to a higher level than it is right now. And I think we can all agree that having the United States and Russia involved in an escalatory conflict, two nuclear powers, is not only not good for the world, of course, but it's not good for the people of Ukraine.
Based on US intelligence and other Western intelligence officials, what they say is that Putin is aggrieved. He's upset about Ukraine's westward tilt, but he's not suicidal. He's not crazy enough to go and attack NATO territory deliberately.
Russian oil will no longer be acceptable at U.S. ports, and the American people will deal another powerful blow to Putin's war machine.
Without the US pushing so hard and without doing all of the diplomacy behind the scenes, it's really hard to imagine that there would have been so many sanctions put on Russia and so many weapons delivered in such a coordinated fashion. Putin's invasion of Ukraine and the West's response to it is going to lead to pain of our own, you and me. We are going to see increased gas prices at the pump.
I'm going to do everything I can to minimize Putin's price hike here at home.
We could see disruptions of the supply chain, more expensive products when you go to the store. We will also see a disruption in the way the global economy frankly works. What the Biden administration and its allies are trying to do is find stopgaps for the oil that they're banning from coming, at least to the US and UK as of this moment. They're talking to partners in the Middle East and some even in South America in hopes of the imports that won't be coming westward can be replaced. It's hard to know if Russia's invasion of Ukraine is the end of the global order as we know it. Since 1945, we've had a relative peace despite tons of war and devastation around the world. But the big thing that we've avoided is great power war at such a scale. It's hard to say whether we are in World War III or approaching one. We're at an incredibly precarious time, and we have to say that the chance of a World War III, especially after what we've been seeing in these early stages, is not 0%.